really kind of. Have you found your calling? If so, what is it?
No, I haven't found my calling yet.
I think I might have found mine, but it's really like I'm not willing to admit that it's my calling until it starts making
I haven't found my calling yet. I'll know when I find my calling. Because you know,
it'll feel like it.
It'll feel like it, and that's how I know I haven't yet. Like, I feel like at this point in my life,
you're still working through it.
Well, no, I think at this point, like right now, I'm being grown for it still.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't hit it yet, and I'm not in any rush. I want whatever is for me on that other side to be
our
when I'm actually ready for it. I don't want to fuck it up. Like, I want to make sure that it's actually my time and I'm ready for it and I can take it on.
Our relationship story is a bit on the lines of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as, like, knowing when you have it and having it when you're supposed to have it, type of God's plan thing. Who has been the biggest influence in your life? You.
Don't play that sweet card.
No, I'm serious. You have been the biggest influence on my life. You want to know why? One thing. One very serious, very key thing. Support. The support that you give me constantly on, like, an absolutely effortless basis. Like, I don't think you understand. When you, and I'm sure the internet understands, when you go through life, it's so funny to go through life, and it's fine if you're one of those people who have totally adjusted to never having anybody support you and never needing support, like, that's fine, and you can sit there and say that and, you know, feel tough or whatever about it, that's great. You still know what it's like, though, until you have someone who's truly, honestly, like, completely supportive of who you are as a person and what you do, and just on such a clear and emotional basis. It's really been, in a lot of ways, lifesaver. Like, there are so many parts about me that would have, honest to God, just stayed dead if you and I had never gotten serious. And
I think if I had to, like, pinpoint my most influential person in my life,
Grandma,
it would be my grandma. My grandma definitely would be a big part of that. My grandma, inadvertently, I don't think she planned on it, but she inadvertently taught me what it was like to be a man. Like, she explained to me what a man is supposed to look like. She gave me examples of what a man is supposed to look like. She explained things to me in such a way that it literally embedded itself into me. Like, there are things that I think about when I say and when I do things that it's literally just her. It's her advice, it's her words, and all I'm doing is simply just carrying them out.
Your most influential person created the person who's most influential to me. See that? Chain of...
And she... Oh, I mean, like...
And that's a funny thing to say, because I told you this before, and I'm not trying to get you off topic, but you're starting to get emotional. I'm trying to, like, help you sidetrack.
I'm not getting emotional.
No, it's
I'm not getting emotional.
It's an emotional thing. No,
I'm really not.
I talk to you all the time about how with our kids, and I think a lot of parents get this backwards. Like, you're not supposed to impress them. I want to influence them. I don't want to impress them. I don't need to be their best friend. I just want to be there for them.
No, I had a lot of inspirational people in my path. My grandma was the largest, and then, you know, my grandpa came behind her, and
well, and to an extent, there's your dad who changed his
helped
life.
edge some of it, and then Coach Chenham polished me. Like, the wrestling.
It's like the oyster that grew the pearl, and then the diver that found the oyster, and then the person that shined the pearl. Like, I
don't think, and I'm going to say this to every single one of you.
He's not acknowledging it, but that's a good analogy.
I'm not. Yeah, you're right. I'm not.
It's a good analogy. Tell me in the comments. Good analogy.
Shut up. I'm just saying, and I know this is going to be kind of corny because I am a soon-to-be 32-year-old man saying this.
Don't make me feel old.
But wrestling in high school was a huge turnaround for me. It was a huge turnaround for a lot of the guys that were on the team with me. A lot of us needed the guidance and stern hand that sport provides. And I don't think people understand it, and you're not going to. You're not going to understand it because you have to be a part of that world to get it.
You know what's interesting about wrestling from the outside, too? I wouldn't say that wrestling is a sport that every school has, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that wrestling is one of those sports that any kid, like, grows up and wants to play. Like,
No.
you grow up and you start playing football in, like, elementary school, right? And junior high and whatever, and you keep with it. Basketball is the same thing. Track and field is the same thing. Volleyball is the same thing. But wrestling isn't like that. And in the same respect, wrestling is a much more serious sport.
It is.
It's probably because of that.
It is, and
That's,
the traits and the lessons,
yeah.
the things that you learn
It's more than
in
just
wrestling
it's more than just a sport.
it goes a lot deeper. And I know that for a lot of you out there, you're going to think I'm lame for saying that because you're not going to get it, and you're not going to.
Well, and no
You're
offense.
just not to. I'm not going to.
No offense, but they tell football players to wrestle in the off season.
Yeah, I'm not.
pretty sure the reason that football players don't go into wrestling in the off season is because they know they can't hack it. Sorry.
I mean, just there's hard lessons that are learned.
I mean, you played football during your off season, but it was nothing in comparison to wrestling.
No, it wasn't. Like, football for me was.
Was there anybody who wrestled in the off season of football?
Nobody crossed over. But
it's not an easy thing
football,
to do. It's because it's not an easy thing to do. It's not the same.
No, it's not. Like, anybody that was on football that wrestled were wrestlers before. So, like,
yeah.
The football team got the benefit of us, not us getting the benefit of football.
Them.
So, you know.
Do you now, or have you ever had any pets? And if so, tell me about them. I killed every pet I ever had when I was a kid. I killed every pet I ever had when I was a kid. It's actually quite traumatizing. Like, it's the reason that I'm not, like, jumping on board with getting my kids pets, which they've asked. I'm not all about it. So I had fish, and then we got a fish from Acme when Acme still sold fish, and there was a snail in the bag. And I remember when we bought the fish going, there's a snail in the bag. I don't want the snail, I just want the fish. And the guy at the store was like, well, having a snail isn't bad because the snail eats the algae on the inside of the tank. And I was like, but I have an algae eater, I don't need the snail. And basically because he didn't want to take the snail out of the bag, and my mom was like, didn't give a crap, the snail came home, right? Well, the snail was pregnant, and then the snail, like, ended up being, like, these bajillion snails, and they covered the outside of the tank, and it drove the big fish, and they're crazy. The big fish ate the smaller fish. So I had to get rid of the whole thing. Like, my mom didn't even want to clean it. Like, the snails got so bad that it drove the big fish crazy, and the big fish ate the smaller fish, and then after the cannibalism lesson, my mom just got rid of the whole freaking thing. And it was traumatizing. And then I had a hermit crab. And, by the way, hermit crabs, I got it from Kosai. In case you don't know what Kosai is, just look it up because I'm not going to explain it. Hermit crabs need to switch their shells as they grow. And you need to just put a whole bunch of shells in there so that the hermit crab can choose which shell that it wants to stay in. It'll come out of its shell and it'll go in and out of the other shells until it finds a shell that it likes. If it doesn't find a shell that it likes, it stays out of the shell and then just dies. Commits suicide, okay? So for a kid who throws a bunch of shells into a tank and then the snail decides that it's not going to choose one of the shells you put in there, you feel like you assisted its freaking suicide. And that's traumatizing.
Okay, I'm gonna cut you off now, okay?
And then I had a bird,
shh.
and I put the bird by the window and refused to feed it or water it, so it died.
You're torturing them now, okay?
I had lots of pets, and they were all bad news.
Now,
we had a cat, and it ran away.
All right, that's enough. Here's the thing.
I had a dog, and had puppies and died. So bad.
Shh.
I'm serious. Shh. I'm not entirely sure I've ever had a good story. It's horrible.
Anyway, before the laundry list of what's in Pet Cemetery right now.
Did you have any pets?
No. Actually, I didn't have any pets when I was growing up.
I don't think we've ever talked about that.
Intriguing story. I was terrified of dogs.
Oh, really?
After, a lot of people don't know this about me. I don't even know if I shared this story.
No, I never knew you got bit by a dog. You got bit by a dog?
When I was...
You didn't even tell me this when I told you I got bit by a dog.
When I was either 4 or 5. It was when I was really little. Really little. I barely remember.
You never even told the kids.
I barely... I know. Well, there's a reason. And if you'd shut up, I would tell you. Anyway... when I was about 4 or 5, somewhere around that mark, I was over at my aunt's house, I believe, and there was a dog, and that dog just had puppies. And because I was such a young kid, I didn't know any better, and back then, parents didn't actually need to watch their kids, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I'm not trying to talk bad about my mom and dad by a long shot. But no one was paying attention to me, apparently. And I thought it would be cool to go over and play with the puppies. So I walked over and I was messing with one of the puppies. And because the mom had just given birth to them, like a day prior...
It had territorial issues.
The mom lost its shit on me. And the mom actually came up and bit my ear off.
Wow.
The whole bottom part of my ear right here... The whole, lobe, it took my lobe clean off.
Oh, my God.
Because I was so young, it grew back. You can't even tell. It doesn't have scarring or anything like that. Because I was so young.
Yeah.
When my mom and dad took me to the hospital and everything, they even told them it was just cartilage. It'll come right back, no big deal. But
Trump?
The thing is, I don't even really remember it. I just remember as a kid I didn't like dogs. So I never got a pet. I never got pets.
Never wanted
when I got older, I want to say this is probably...
You did have a dog.
Yeah, this is about 13, 14 years ago. I got a puppy. I got a dog that apparently was pregnant.
Oh, yeah. That
lost its mind after it had the babies. So we took that dog, gave it to a training facility to try to get its behavior back to normal because of, I don't know if it was postpartum or what, but the dog lost its freaking mind. It turned aggressive on everybody. It was really, really ridiculous. I almost killed the thing. But anyway, I took one of its puppies and I named him Zero. And I had him for almost a full year. And I wound up having to give him up because the job I had at the time was so demanding, I couldn't be home to train him properly. And it was at a point where it was either I figure out a way to get the dog trained or I have to give the dog up. And so I had to give the dog up because I didn't feel it was fair to hold the dog responsible for having accidents in the house and things just because it wasn't properly trained.
Fun fact, he wants a goat. And
I want goats. Plural.
After a year and a half, he was so caught off guard. It was only about 2 weeks ago. I told him he could get a goat. I finally broke down. Well, because here's the thing. I
gotta do a lot of research before I do that, though.
Here's the thing. He kept saying he wanted a goat, and at first I was like, fuck no, you're not getting a goat. That's just stupid. You're not getting a goat. And we rent now. I mean, we have a side lot, but we rent right now. So, if we got a goat, we'd have to make sure that no matter where we went after, we'd have enough room for this freaking goat, or that they'd let us have a goat. And I'm like, you can't have a goat. But here's what happened over the course of a year and a half. Literally every single friggin' time we brought up the fact that he wanted a goat, no matter where we were. OB appointments, doctor's appointments, random fucking people, in random freaking situations. Everyone was like, oh, well, it would eat your grass. They all agreed with him. Every single friggin' one of them.
The kids are all on board, too.
And the kids are, and they want a pet. And, after a while, I was like, oh, and then you got taken to court for your grass not being cut. And I went, fucking get a goat. And finally, I just broke down. I'm like, fucking get a goat. I want a pet. I don't even care if it's a goat.
So, the reason why I want a goat is because shout out to Rob Bailey and Dana Lynn Bailey, but I watch their YouTube videos a lot, and they have goats, and I think they're really cool pets. I'm interested in purchasing a goat. I got to do some research though because I got to make sure